Hi YouTube, welcome to the London Symphony Orchestra Masterclasses for the YouTube Symphony Orchestra. My name's Neil Percy and I'm the principal percussion player with the London Symphony Orchestra, and what we're here to do today is talk about the repertoire that has been set that you have to learn, which is hopefully going to get you into the YouTube Symphony Orchestra. How exciting is that? So we're going to get straight to it and we're going to go to the snare drum repertoire of Scheherazade, and we're going to go in with letter Q. So that was letter Q. And the problem is with taking things out of context is that we might think of these things as drum solos, which they're certainly not. Pretty much everything in Scheherazade, apart from a couple of bars in the third movement, is accompanimental. And here at Q, we're certainly accompanying the trumpet section and at this particular stage, the horn section, who have that very rhythm. So it's really, really important that we don't play too loudly so that we can hear what they're going to do. So what I might do in the first rehearsal, just so I can check balances, check to see how things lie, is I might just play a little bit down on that, and we might get something like this. So this would be where I might play for the first rehearsal. Now, at that dynamic, there's absolutely no problem with me being able to hear the horns, because remember, their bells are facing me anyway, and the amount of air that the trumpets are going to be putting through their instruments at that particular time will mean that I can hear them absolutely no problem. From there, then I can build it a little bit, build a crescendo into it, and make something of it. Now, in terms of maybe some exercises that might help you to prepare this, because obviously it's quite fast and can indeed go faster than that. So there's a couple of things that I think about when I'm playing the snare drum. First of all, to practice hands separately. So simple exercises like this, maybe 8 repeats with each hand. Maybe going to 16 with each hand. And also turning the rhythm on its head. So put the 8th note at the end of the phrase instead of the beginning. So you get something like this. I find those help a lot when we come to it. Also sticking. I see a lot of people who might favour a particular hand. They might be right-handed and want to lead all of the time with the right hand. In my experience, that can lead to problems, particularly, again, if the tempo is up there. So, as you'll see, my sticking is, I'm actually sharing the responsibility between the right and the left hands. So, my sticking slowly would be right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, and so on and so on. If you stick with a particular lead and the tempo really gets up there, and remember the tempo to this piece can change between the rehearsal and the show. Conductors are human too, and sometimes they get the bit between their teeth, and the tempo can be significantly faster. So we need to make sure that we're building in a safety margin to our playing, so that if the tempo is significantly increased, we're able to cope with it. So let's try it at a few different speeds. Let's try it a little bit slower. Etc., etc., and then maybe pretty quick. Now, of course, we could always go to doubles if the tempo is, quite frankly, ridiculous. I think it's fair to say that our horn and trumpet colleagues are going to have a problem before we do. But the thing to do is to always think about more than one way of preparing an excerpt. Because certainly when you come to play it for the first time with an orchestra, the conductor might get you to do something completely different, something that you haven't actually thought about. And if you've only thought about one way of how to play this, it can be difficult to implement on the gig with 75 colleagues watching you at that particular time. So the best thing to do is to think about a number of ways to play a particular excerpt so that if the conductor wants you to change in some ways, you can implement these changes straight away. So now we're going to look at letter N for Neil. And I'll play this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So at this particular point, at N, it's really, really important to know what you're playing with. Now you have the full bass section there, playing pizzicato E's, yum bum 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 bum. And I can tell you, certainly from my colleagues in the LSO, that when you get 8 bass players on full chat playing a pizzicato E, man, that's a sound. Put that together with the timpani, who's got a beautiful resonant instrument playing with great sticks. He has those notes as well. If we play a proper pianissimo, the sound of the snare drum will be completely and utterly lost. So this is a case in point of actually only using dynamics as a guide. As soon as I go into those semiquavers, I'm listening to see exactly where I want this to fit in the scheme of things. If there was one thing that Rimsky-Korsakov was, it was an unbelievable orchestrator. And he showed for the first time what was possible on this instrument and opened the door for many other composers that followed. So it's really, really important to use dynamics as a guide. They're not there to be adhered to religiously. So always use them as a guide. And as I said, when I get to that point, I'm really listening out to make sure that the sound that I've got is going to be perfect to help the basses and the timpani and just to rhythmically reinforce what they have. Yes, that's a little bit hotter than pianissimo, but I promise you, it won't be lost in the orchestration now by playing there. So that's something to think about. Don't always be too literal about the dynamics that are marked. So there you have it. I think it's really, really important to remember that Tchaikovsky's given us a beautiful palette here with which to try and get the best sound that we possibly can. As I said, you're in dialogue with flute and horn, and they'll be making such a beautiful, gorgeous sound that I think it's important for us to think about making really sweet sounds on the Glockenspiel. This isn't about nasty attack. This is all about real sweet as honey notes, because that's what it should sound like. And again, very, very basic things. Just I'm playing on a pedal Glock here, so I've obviously got the advantage of playing with a pedal, which many of you who will be uploading your video will probably be playing on a Glock in a box, and I understand that. But I've got the advantage of having a pedal simply because I've played on an instrument like this for the last 20 years, so it's something that I've got used to. But we'll talk about later on the pedaling technique that I'm using. But if you're playing on a Glock in a box, you're going to need to be really cute with your hand damping technique, because we don't want too many of these notes to ring into each other. So the very last phrase we play, we have something like this. Now that you can see that even though I have a pedal Glock, I'm still using my hand to get rid of that D. If we don't damp those notes at all, we're going to get something like this, where you can hear all of those tones ringing on at the same time. That's at a point where we just want to hear the dominant seventh leading back to the big tune. So really, really important that we're clean with these notes. As I said, a lot of the time on the Glockenspiel, I use a sort of a feathering technique with the pedal, where I'm just sort of feathering, ghosting, however you want to call it. I'm just sort of half dampening those notes as I play them, which just makes it a little bit cleaner. And then the one tone that you want to be there, the dominant seventh from the dominant seventh chord, is there. It's not going to be clashed with all these notes. which is not such a good thing. So once again, it's going to be really, really important that those of you who are playing on a Glock in a box are very, very canny about your hand damping technique. And as I said, enjoy it. This is such gorgeous music at this point, and as I said, we're trying to make really, really sweet sounds on the Glockenspiel. So it's easy for me on a resonated instrument to see where I should be striking the instrument, because I obviously want the best sound that I can possibly get, so I'm going to play over the resonators. Possibly on a Glock in a box, sometimes you might be a little bit too near the node. It really is important that you're right in the playing zone at all times so that you can get the best possible sound. So now we come to the excerpt for Tambourine, which is Dvorak's Carnival Overture. Now, this is a great piece to play. I always love playing it. But something to bear in mind is that for the style and for the time of the piece, this is quite a large orchestra. You've got the best part of 50 string players, large woodwind section, large brass section, and one 10-inch frame drum. So first of all, you're going to have to compete to get your sound across. So as we've spoken about before, we're not looking for volume. For me, volume is just noise. We're looking for a quality of sound. We're looking for a weight of sound that's going to blend beautifully with your colleagues who are all after the same thing of getting the best possible sound that they can. And so hopefully, once you've put all that in place and got a really good sound on the tambourine, it should all work. So let's have a look at the excerpt. So as you can see, this is quite a punchy little number, as it were. And as I said, we have to get our sound across. We have to make the tambourine sound as big as it possibly can. So there might be some right-handed players out there or left-handed players or whatever. I think with the tambourine, first and foremost, it's important that you can do pretty much everything with both hands. So, on that particular occasion, I use my left hand to do it. I would also be comfortable using my right hand. So, in terms of practice shaking with the right hand and the left, and be comfortable also with the hits on the skin. Really, really important that we're able to use both hands when it comes to the tambourine. Again, just later on, and I'm not sure whether this is going to be included in the excerpt, but just so you know, later on and towards the end of the piece, we've got some little bits that involve playing with the knee, and we've got something like this. Now, when it comes to practicing things like that, the thing that I've found probably the best thing to look at is to actually get some snare drum tutors out and to play some quite complex rhythms on the tambourine between the knee and your hand. Things like this. All of those things will stand you in really good stead for playing the end of Carnival Overture, which can really become quite fast as the piece sort of generates that amount of excitement. So again, we're looking for the same things. We're looking for you to make the best sound that you possibly can. Obviously, the time's got to be really, really on the money here in terms of kicking the band along, and play with spirit. Have fun with it. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you got something out of it, and I'm really excited and really looking forward to seeing all of your videos. So upload as many as you can, and I'll see you next time. Take care.